Sure. Um, the first piece I composed for piano and the solo voice is entitled Authentic God. So I did that piece usually in church. I do like singing anyway. So I would start singing what other people have written in church. So I wanted to write something that is at least related to what other people have written for piano and solo voices. Yeah, like in the church, I think we have that challenge. Even the very person that introduced me to music has written a lot of pieces, but they have not been performed. But at least for me, things have been a bit better for me because I'm personally a choir leader. I started from there. I taught quite a number of pieces, especially for oratorios and operas, especially for Handel and Haydn. So, especially from my area, because our church is organized into areas and small districts. So from my area, at least I get to listen to my music in the church, but I have to push hard for them to get my music because there are a lot of people who are senior than I am who just bring their influence, bring their pieces, then people simply accept them. But for me, my position is not very big in church, so I have to push for them to accept my work. Yeah, thank you. The encouragement that I would give is see, in Africa, especially from the perspective of Zambia, I've not been outside Zambia anyway. What I've seen is the new works that we're able to produce, like in the church. We have quite a number of choir leaders. But the challenge is with music. Most of these people that have interest in music, they cannot read music fluently. So, in a case where you bring something that is completely new to them, it becomes a challenge. What I've seen is maybe we can say they've mostly rejected the weights and other things, but it's because maybe you give them a copy without someone having had performed it before, it becomes a challenge to them. We have gone to sometimes meetings where these parties meet, then we discuss about the singing in our country or maybe in our area. We look at uplifting the works of music in our area, but the challenge has been adopting new works because maybe they have not seen it being performed somewhere. So, like in my case, because I'm always present in my area, so I stand, teach my music to the people. After they listen to it, then that's when they can adopt it. Then one other thing is, initially, I would just write classical compositions. But again, within that regard, I've been forced to start composing traditional pieces. And it appears people, when it comes to traditional pieces, our African people, that's when they would consider our work. But when it comes to each other, classical work and other things, they would rather get something international than promote their own. Yes. Yes. I think the problem stems from issues to do with the state. You find the Europeans first colonized most of the African countries. So people still have that mindset, say whatever comes from a white man is what we must accept. And whatever is done by our own, it must be it must be treated as semi-standard, so it's not up to the standards. But then you find when they come to traditional music, especially when we our traditional instruments, yes, sure. Um, anyway, one thing that has encouraged me is sometimes you present something to a group. I have this that you can perform, especially when it is classical. Then they say, no, let's get two or three, four from other areas. Then we compare, but you find they choose something that is exotic or maybe something from somewhere else than the local one. But my encouragement has always mostly come from myself. I've always said anyway, even when you don't adopt it, I don't lose anything. As long as I keep practicing. But at least now people have begun to appreciate the works that we do here. Thank you. We have written music for religion, maybe for the purpose of encouraging people in the congregations. As a choir leader, I've encountered quite a number of issues from the choir members, from the congregants, coming up with issues. No, we have this problem or this problem. So you find most of the words in the music that we write, sometimes just adopt a certain part of the scripture from the Bible, then you write. Maybe it might have something to do with an experience that we encountered from the community. Yes, I wrote about the independence hymn. The words in the hymn for independence did not come from me. They came from the then vice principal. She's Madam Mrs. Mwala, let me say so. So she gave me the words. They said, can you put these words into a song that can be presented for independence? So I sat down and made the notes in line with the words that she had given me. So we wanted it, the song talks about praising the nation, then also encouraging people to take their part in the national affairs. Then there's also another secular song that I've composed. It is entitled "You on My Mind." It is a love song. So sometimes you might want to incline yourself to a certain genre of music, but then the things that we encounter in our daily life sometimes force us to talk about these other issues. Because sometimes we tell stories in the songs, we comfort, and there are so many things we do when we write our music. Thank you. The first thing that I would want to talk about is you talked about the stories we write or the things that we write as Africans. First of all, I've read quite a number of African literature and especially books by Chinua Achebe. One book that I came to like is The Things Fall Apart. In the book, he's talking about, he's reporting things concerning Africa from an African perspective. Because the most problem that we have is that Africans do not want to report things from Africa. Then other people come and report issues from Africa. Then they distort them, they don't report the correct thing. But then I liked reading Chinua Achebe's story because he's talking about Africa from an African perspective, giving people a different picture because people from somewhere else would not report exactly what we are going through and then what we experience. Yes, in music, we might want to write about issues that affect everyone. But the first thing is, we're human beings. If I have emotional problems, if I have spiritual problems, even someone in Europe, someone in America is also going through emotional problems, spiritual problems. So if I write something focusing on emotional problems, it may affect even someone who's outside Africa. Then, because we also do not want to depict our traditions and styles, we have so many styles, diverse styles in Africa. When we talk about music, you listen to a piece of music from Rwanda, from South Africa, you are able to tell and say, at least there are so many diverse ideas that we can get from there. And then if we can also write more about Africa, then people get to know about what is happening in Africa. They're writing from different perspectives. We have different Africans in other countries. They want to write what they've experienced in the countries where they are, instead of writing about things from the countries where they are coming from. I have personally looked at some other languages. Like I said the other time, there was a message I wrote asking about someone from Rwanda. I wrote a certain piece in Rwanda, Imana Yachu. Now, I'm not so sure whether the language that I use there is 100% correct. So I wanted someone from Rwanda to help me with how the language is phrased in terms of the tenses and other things. And I myself would really want to write things from the African perspective so that we tell other people about what is happening in Africa. They have different pictures of African music, African style. So it's us to inform them. They may be agitated, they may be annoyed, but as time goes on, as they start getting used, they'll cope up with it. They'll have no option. Thank you very much. One thing that I would want to first of all applaud is uh, what you are doing is a great job. Such a great idea. Because the problem that I might affiliate that to is as Africans, because we have over 1,000 languages, and each language has its style, its genre. They have been singing over the years, over the centuries, and dancing. So they've had their own music. Now, one problem that we've encountered as Africans is we've never had a platform where as Africans come together so that we can set up, say, no, as the African music, let's establish the rules when you're composing and let's follow these who identify us as African. And these things in the secular music, these would go to a computer room and then just make up sounds. At least they have styles that they have established already. So far, if you listen to secular music, you're able to tell this one is from Nigeria, this one is from Tanzania, this one is from Kenya. Because at least they have a platform where they can come together and then maybe participate in a certain type of enlightenment or maybe knowledge. Then, like what you have done already, you are bringing African composers together. I think this can help us establish maybe a certain kind of rules. Yes, it's fine, each composer writes from whatever they think, whatever they feel, but then we are able to write music from the classical period, from these other periods in music, because at least there are a set of rules that are followed. So we try to follow those rules, and you find it, definitely we cannot avoid that style of music because of the set of rules that are followed. But then in Africa, because we've most of the time been standing as individuals, you are making your work and then no influence from the others. So obviously we cannot establish a set of rules. But already what we are doing can help us go that direction. Thank you, Doctor. I'm very grateful. The pleasure is mine, actually. Thank you.